fear of stupidity is one of the quietest but most powerful barriers to genuine thinking. Philosophers are often imagined as fearless explorers of truth. Yet even within philosophy there exists a subtle pressure, the need to appear intelligent. This pressure creates an invisible constraint on thought. When a thinker becomes afraid of looking foolish, certain questions are never asked, certain ideas are never explored, and certain doubts are quickly suppressed. In this way, the fear of stupidity can quietly maintain ignorance. At its core, the problem is connected to ego. Feeling stupid is not merely recognizing that one does not know something. It is the emotional discomfort that arises when the mind believes its competence or status is threatened. A person may easily admit ignorance when alone, but the same admission becomes difficult in front of others. The knowledge gap remains the same. What changes is the presence of ego. The mind begins to protect its image rather than pursue understanding. This protection shapes the way philosophers and intellectuals think. Instead of freely exploring ideas, they often filter their thoughts through an internal judge. Does this sound intelligent? If a question appears naive or simplistic, it may be discarded before it is fully examined. Yet many of the deepest insights begin as questions that initially seem foolish. When such questions are rejected out of fear, an entire path of inquiry disappears before it even begins. The irony is that genuine philosophical progress often requires a willingness to look temporarily foolish. A mind that refuses to appear stupid becomes rigid. It clings to established frameworks because they provide safety and intellectual legitimacy. In contrast, a mind willing to entertain imperfect, awkward, or even absurd ideas gains a wider field of exploration. What appears as stupidity in the early stages of thinking can sometimes be the first step toward deeper understanding. This does not mean glorifying ignorance. The key distinction lies between actual ignorance and what might be called harmless stupidity, the willingness to entertain incomplete or awkward ideas without identifying oneself with them. In this state, the thinker can acknowledge confusion without panic. The mind remains curious instead of defensive. The ego loosens its grip, allowing questions to arise freely. Seen this way, the ability to tolerate feeling stupid becomes a form of intellectual strength. It requires confidence not in one's current knowledge, but in one's capacity to explore uncertainty. The thinker recognizes that the feeling of stupidity often signals the boundary of current understanding. Rather than retreating from that boundary, the strong mind investigates it. The paradox is that the fear of stupidity, which attempts to protect intelligence, can actually undermine it. By preventing naive questions and unconventional exploration, it keeps thought confined within familiar limits. In contrast, the courage to risk appearing foolish expands those limits. It allows philosophy to remain what it was meant to be, an open search for truth rather than a performance of cleverness. In this sense, overcoming the fear of stupidity is not merely a personal psychological achievement. It is an essential condition for genuine philosophical inquiry. When thinkers are willing to face the discomfort of not knowing, and even the appearance of foolishness, they free themselves from the ego's protection. Only then can philosophy move beyond the illusion of knowledge toward deeper understanding.